Namo Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutire Nashtaprayesha Bhadresha Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtake. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, text 9 onwards. So Krishna is saying about the mind he talked about, and now further he says, Suhrin mitrar yuddhasinam madhyastha tvesha bandhushu sadhushvapi cha papeshu sambuddhir vishishyate. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutrals, the mediators, the envious, friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind. This he is speaking in 6th chapter. Considering all this with an equal mind, that's the person who is advanced, further advanced. And it can only happen in the spiritual world. Of course, in the spiritual world, there are no enemies and no enviers, no sinners. But here, this is what Krishna is expecting from us. So this verse actually describes the most advanced stages of the Yoga Ruda platform. So Yoga Rurukshu and Yoga Ruda, we heard of these two words. So Yoga Ruda is a perfectional stage of yoga. So even for yogis, it's difficult to give up the family attachment. But Krishna is suggesting or recommending Samabuddhi. The yogi must be equal to all family members, friends, and enemies. And of course, as it is said, the Yoga Ruda stage, perfection stage of yoga. But like from neophyte devotees like us, people start expecting these things. Of course, it's good. Expectation should be there, but it's not practical, not possible for all of us to act like this all of a sudden. Just because I'm wearing dhoti kurta and chanting and I think I become perfect. I'm not perfect. It's not that easy just to become perfect. Then they would say, oh, you are a pretender. It's not pretending. We are trying, we are struggling on the path of bhakti, on this path of yoga. This is how we make progress. It's just like asking a first grade student and giving him a medical entrance exam. You should clear it. You're a student. You should clear it. Well, he only knows whatever he knows, not the medical entrance or engineering entrance exams is going to clear. Yes, slowly, if he goes through all the classes, studies his subject matters properly, he might be able to. But this is what Krishna is recommending. Text 10. Yogi yunjit satatam atmanam rahasi stita ekakiya chittatma nirashira parigraha. A transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind, and self in relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness. Krishna is realized in three different degrees as Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna consciousness means concisely to be always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. But those who are attached to the impersonal Brahman or the localized super soul are also partially Krishna conscious, because the impersonal Brahman is the spiritual ray of Krishna. And the super soul is the all-pervading partial expansion of Krishna. Thus, the impersonalist and the meditator are also indirectly Krishna conscious. So indirectly. A directly Krishna conscious person is the topmost transcendentalist, because such a devotee knows what is meant by Brahman and Paramatma. His knowledge of the absolute truth is perfect, whereas the impersonalist and the meditative yogi are imperfectly Krishna conscious. So they are dealing with the aspects of Krishna, not full-fledged Krishna. Nevertheless, all of these are instructed herewith to be constantly engaged in the particular pursuits, so that they may come to the highest perfection sooner or later. The first business of a transcendentalist is to keep the mind always on Krishna. So this is what Krishna wants in later chapter. He says, Man mana bhav mad bhakto. Think of me, always think of me. One should always think of Krishna and not forget him, even for a moment. Concentration of the mind on the Supreme is called samadhi or trance. In order to concentrate the mind, one should always remain in seclusion and avoid disturbance by external objects. He should be very careful to accept favorable and reject unfavorable conditions that affect his realization. And in perfect determination, he should not hanker after unnecessary material things that entangle him by feelings of possessiveness. So, for a yogi, Krishna says, for a transcendentalist or a yogi. So it could always be bhakti yogi. So when Krishna says he should live alone in a secluded place, he should always carefully control his mind. So for the Ashtanga yogis or Hatha yogis, yes, they have to live, then only they can do the meditation. But how does it apply for bhakti yogis? How can they live in a secluded place when association is so much stressed upon? Well, here for a bhakti yogi, the secluded place is to live amongst the non-devotees. To be in the company of devotees, that is as much as secluded place, because then together they can perform devotion service. And should always carefully control his mind. Controlling his mind for a Ashtanga yogi is to forcibly try to meditate on the Lord. And here controlling the mind for a devotee is to always use it in the service of the Lord. Even if he is thinking of what I'm going to do next for the service of the Lord, that is controlling the mind, because he's always thinking of serving the Lord. And he should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness. And that is also for a Hatha yogi, yes, no desires, completely free your mind. And feelings of possessiveness. Although Hatha yogi is not supposed to have too many objects, material objects, but sometimes they get even attached to their kamandalu or their khadao or whatever. But for devotees, this is free from desires, means have all the desires for service of Krishna. Feelings of possessiveness, nothing for me, everything for service of Krishna. That is a bhakti yogi. Nevertheless, all of these are instructed herewith to be constantly engaged in the particular pursuits, so that they may come to the highest perfection sooner or later. Okay, this paragraph we covered. All these perfections and precautions are perfectly executed when one is directly in Krishna consciousness, because direct Krishna consciousness means self-abnegation, wherein there is a very little chance for material possessiveness. Srila Rupa Goswami characterizes Krishna consciousness in this way. Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatharham Upayunjita Nirvanda Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate Prapanchikatya Buddhya Hari Sambandhi Vastuna Mumukshubhi Parityago Vairagyam Falgu Katyate. When one is not attached to anything, but at the same time accepts everything in relation to Krishna, one is rightly situated above possessiveness, accepts everything in relation to Krishna. But even that standard, now we have to see. Suppose somebody gives me 1 crore rupees and I say I accept it in relation to Krishna. But I'm using that rupees in different ways. So am I still Krishna conscious? So the idea is whatever one gets for whatever purpose he got by the donor or whoever, he should use it in that place only. That's it. And also sometimes then people get good equipment, laptops, phones, saying, oh, I'm using it in the service of Krishna. Are we really using it? It just, we have to do this introspection all the time. Am I really? Or some in Krishna's service and some in my service, my senses service. We have to do the introspection and then prepare or then make progress accordingly. We should. Again, in the beginning stages, we cannot assume that I become perfect. And then further purposes. On the other hand, one who rejects everything without knowledge of its relationship to Krishna is not as complete in his renunciation. So cannot reject everything either, because everything is related to Krishna. It can be used in the service of Krishna. It should be used. But we reject, no. Brahm Satya Jagat Mithya. That's what Mayavadi says. Jagat Mithya. It's all illusion. Illusion in the sense, if it is not used in service of Krishna, it is illusion. If it is used, then it is spiritual. So we cannot reject everything either. Of course, when we use it in our service for our sense gratification, it's illusion. But mostly this is what we do. A Krishna conscious person well knows that everything belongs to Krishna, and that thus he is always free from feelings of personal possession. As such, he has no hankering for anything on his own personal account. He knows how to accept things in favor of Krishna consciousness and how to reject things unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. So everything can be used in favor, but depending upon my consciousness, my mentality, I have to see how things are, for me, are unfavorable. It could be anything, just like the iPhone or laptop, car. Somebody can, from his mentality, will say, oh, it is unfavorable because you're getting too attached. It could be favorable if I use these things in service of Krishna or in propagation of Krishna's words. It varies from person to person. He is always aloof from material things because he is always transcendental and he's always alone, having nothing to do with persons not in Krishna consciousness. So he's always aloof, always Prabhupada says, he's always alone. Now, for preaching purposes, we have to meet people who are not in Krishna consciousness and to give them the right knowledge. But it stays only to that point. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness is a perfect yogi. So, but this chapter is Dhyana Yoga. So for Dhyana Yoga, yes, They have to go to a secluded place and then perform all their activities, yogic activities. And then slowly, the mind comes under control and then they make progress. And it is not said that they just do this 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening. Devotees also. But bhakti yoga, even if physically they're not sitting and performing bhakti or chanting or doing it, if they're just meditating on the Lord, listening to our Kirtan, or reading Prabhupada's books, or doing some other activity that could be Krishna conscious activity, then they are situated in bhakti yoga. That is yoga. They're linked with the Supreme. This is another advantage of Bhakti Yoga, and it's simple but very, very sublime. And then further for Ashtanga yogis, Krishna says, Shucho deshe pratisthapya sthiram asanam atmanah na ati uchritam na ati nicham chalajin kushottaram tatrai kagram manha kritva yat chittendriya kriya upvishyasane yunjyad yogam atma vishuddhai. To practice yoga, again, this is what Krishna is saying. To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. The seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activities, and fixing the mind on one point. So it's not that we can sit in an AC room and comfortable cushion and then we think we're practicing yoga. This is not what Krishna is mentioning here. Sacred place refers to places of pilgrimage. In India, the yogis, the transcendentalists, all the devotees, all leave home and reside in sacred places such as Prayag, Mathura, Vrindavan, Rishikesh, and Haridwar. And in solitude, practice yoga, where the sacred rivers like the Yamuna and the Ganges flow. Solitude practice yoga. This is how the yogis perform their yoga. The so-called yoga societies in big cities may be successful in earning material benefit, but they are not at all suitable for the actual practice of yoga. One who is not self-controlled and whose mind is not undisturbed cannot practice meditation. One who is not self-controlled and whose mind is not undisturbed cannot practice meditation. Therefore, in the Brihad Naradiya Puran, it is said that in Kali Yuga, the present Yuga or age, when people in general are short-lived, slow in spiritual realization, and always disturbed by various anxieties, the best means of spiritual realization is chanting the holy name of the Lord. So how is it practical in Kali Yuga, this Ashtanga Yoga? So but Bhakti Yoga is very much practical and people are performing it and they're getting best means of spiritual realization. So just by chanting the holy names of the Lord, Hare Ranam, Hare Ranam, Hare Ranam, Kevalam, Kalo Nastir, 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 Katiranyata. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. So 3 times it says, there is no other way. Means Hatha Yoga, Jnana Yoga, or Karma Kanda. It doesn't work in this Kali Yoga. Only Bhakti Yoga, and that too chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Hare Ranam, Hare Ranam, Hare Nam eva Kevalam. Definitely, this is the only way. And then further, Krishna says how to perform this Ashtanga Yoga. So one has gone to a secluded place, put his asana of kusha grass. Now, first of all, difficult to find kusha grass, and then cover it with deer skin. Why deer skin? Either deer skin or also says lion, tiger skin. Why? Because these small insects, or even snakes, don't come close to deer skin. There are some kind of chemicals in deer skin. It repels all these insects. Because if insects are there, then one will get disturbed. How am I going to do yoga? And then cover it with a soft cloth. Seat should not be a soft cloth so that he can sit comfortably. And seat should not be too high or too low. Too high because it's always chance of falling down from that high seat and getting hurt. And if it is too low, then he might be uncomfortable. And then further Krishna said was, then yogi should sit on it very firmly, means very firmly, means without any fear. Going to sacred place, even if one goes to say Rishikesh or Haridwar, there will always be fear of, okay, the little small insects cannot come, but the little bigger animals can come and attack. So one would be always fearful. But here it is, one should not have any fear. Because he should have full faith in Krishna, that the Lord will protect me. Where is that faith there? Then one can perform this meditation, Hatha Yoga. And then further Krishna says, Samam kaya shiro grivam dharyan achalam sthira sampreksha nasikagram swam dishaschan avalokeyan prashantatma vigatbhir brahmachari vrate sthita mana samyamya matchitto yukta asit matpara. One should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. So keeping the body erect, body, neck, and head erect in a straight line. And this is how one yogi sits down and stares steadily at the tip of the nose. Because if he closes his eyes, the chances of him sleeping, and if he opens them completely, then he can look at so many things and then develop desires. And thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, again, devoid of fear that any animal is going to come and eat me, or what will happen to the family that I left behind. Completely free from sex life. Completely free from sex life. So all these yoga studios that we see everywhere these days, do they recommend this? If they do, then they lose all of their members. How many will come? Oh, and then Krishna says, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. Not meditate on light or on point or anything else. He clearly says one should meditate on me. So the people are not going to teach these things. Because then the person who has paid fees and come for meditation will say, I might as well go to Hare Krishna temple or some Hindu temple. Sit there. Why should I sit here and pay you so much money? They're not going to charge me any money to sit there and look at the deities. The goal of life is to know Krishna, who is situated within the heart of every living being as Paramatma, the four-handed Vishnu form. This is the goal of life. not anything else. The yoga process is practiced in order to discover and see this localized form of Vishnu and not for any other purpose. So Krishna says one should see me within the heart. So within the heart is super soul situating Paramatma, and Paramatma form is four-handed form. So the yoga process is practiced in order to discover and see this localized form of Vishnu and not for any other purpose. The localized Vishnu Murti is a plenary representation of Krishna dwelling within one's heart. One who has no program to realize this Vishnu Murti is uselessly engaged in mock yoga practice and is certainly wasting his time. Prabhupada is heavy, heavy. Obviously, all these yoga studios of people who say they teach yoga, perform yoga, they are not meditating on Vishnu Murti or Paramatma feature of the Lord. And Prabhupada says if there is no such program, then they usually uselessly engage in mock yoga practice. This is making a mockery and certainly wasting his time. Krishna is the ultimate goal of life, and the Vishnu Murti situated in one's heart is the object of yoga practice. To realize this Vishnu Murti within the heart, one has to observe complete abstinence from sex life. Therefore, one has to leave home and live alone in a secluded place, remaining seated as mentioned above. One cannot enjoy sex life daily at home or elsewhere and attend a so-called yoga class and thus become a yogi. So that's not how it works. One has to practice controlling the mind and avoiding all kinds of sense gratification, of which sex life is a chief. In the rules of celibacy written by great sage Yajnavalkya, it is said, Karmana manasa vacha sarvavasthasu sarvada sarvatra maithuna tyago brahmacharyam prachakshate. The vow of brahmacharya is meant to help one completely abstain from sex indulgence in work, words, and mind. Not even think about it, not even talk about it. At all times, under all circumstances, and in all places. That is abstinence. No one can perform correct yoga practice through sex indulgence. Brahmacharya is taught, therefore, from childhood, when one has no knowledge of sex life. Children at the age of 5 are sent to the Gurukul or the place of spiritual master, and the master trains the young boys in the strict discipline of becoming brahmacharis. Strict discipline, because without this strict discipline, one cannot make progress in spiritual life, in yoga. Without such practice, no one can make advancement in any yoga, whether it be dhyan, gyan, or bhakti. One who, however, follows the rules and regulations of married life, those who are grihasthis, if they follow the rules and regulations of married life, having a sexual relationship only with his wife, and that also under regulation, is also called a brahmachari. See, actual definition of brahmachari is brahma acharti iti brahmachari. Celibacy is one part of brahmacharya ashram. Major part, we can say, but one part. Brahma acharti means his all engagements, all activities are towards service of the Lord. Whether it is, he goes into meditation, Brahma acharti, then his meditation, or otherwise it is serving the Lord, then he is brahmachari. And Prabhupada says, one who is following the rules and regulations of married life is also a brahmachari. Just because he's living with a woman in the house doesn't mean he's not a brahmachari. Higher thought. Such a restrained householder brahmachari may be accepted in the Bhakti school, but the Gyan and Dhyan schools do not even admit householder brahmacharis. They require complete abstinence without compromise. In the Bhakti school, a householder brahmachari is all allowed controlled sex life because the cult of Bhakti Yoga is so powerful that one automatically loses sexual attraction, being engaged in the superior service of the Lord. And Prabhupada said, householder brahmachari. And in Bhakti Yoga, it is possible. And also, those who say complete abstinence from sex life. For a householder, grihastha, it is allowed. Why? Because how else where else the brahmacharis are going to come from? Or even sannyasis are going to come from. And until they have good progeny, grihasthas have good progeny and properly cultivated from the very young age, as Prabhupada said, from 5 years. How in the world we are going to get brahmacharis and who later become sannyasis, or even the householders become sannyasis later? Where are we going to get them from? So everything has a purpose. But yes, overdoing it or just complete indulgence in it, that is wrong. Because there's a higher goal in life, to achieve Krishna. So as Prabhupada says, householder brahmacharis, they automatically lose sexual attraction, being engaged in the superior service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Vishya vinivartante niraharasya dehina, rasvarjam rasopyasya varam drishtva nivartate. Whereas others are forced to restrain themselves from sense gratification. Forced. A devotee of the Lord automatically refrains because of superior taste. This is the better way of abstinence. Give a superior taste to the mind, to the senses. Other than the devotee, no one has any information of that superior taste. Then Prabhupada talks about Vigatbhi. One cannot be fearless unless one is fully in Krishna consciousness. A conditioned soul is fearful due to his perverted memory, his forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with Krishna. So conditioned soul is fearful. What is his fear? That whatever I have, I should not lose it. He is fearful. It will be taken away, whether by the thieves or government or other people, it will be taken away. And he's always fearful. And this fear, and because of this fear, then he devises or adopts different means of defending himself or his possessions. So why? Because he has forgotten his eternal relationship with Krishna. And when Krishna says, for my devotee, I protect what they have and I provide what they lack. So devotee is fearless. There's a bhajan, Bhajahure Mana Shri Nandananda, Abhaya Charana Ravindare. If we do bhajan of Nandanandan, Krishna, he provides this, taking shelter of his lotus feet, he gives us abhaya. He makes us abhaya, fearless. Because devotee has full faith in Krishna. Mare Krishna Rakhe Krishna Mare ke. If Krishna wants to kill anybody, who can protect him? And if Krishna wants to protect somebody, who can kill him? Of course, that somebody will always be protecting of somebody is always for a devotee. So for a devotee, he is always fearless. He has nothing to worry about. Krishna will take care of him. He has a full confidence, full faith. And Krishna does. He always does. He always protects his devotees. But the faith, that surrender has to be there. But for the yogis, this vigata bhi, this is a quality. One has to be fearless. It's very difficult. Very, very difficult. The mind will always go. If somebody, as I said, somebody left his house, gone to a sacred place, secluded place, and trying to do meditation, where he could be thinking of, oh, who will take care of my wife, who will take care of my children, they're little, and how will my girl get married, and who will take care of my son's education, and this and that. That fear should not be there. The Bhagavatam says, Bhayam Dvitya Viniveshita Syad, Ishadapetasya Viparyayo Smriti. Bhayam Dvitya Abhiniveshita. Why this bhaya happens or fear happens? Dvitya, two in duality. When we come to duality, me and my body, the two separate. And when we are absorbed in the bodily concept of life. And Abhiniveshita, not just thinking, completely absorbed. And that is when the fear comes. Krishna consciousness is the only basis for fearlessness. Therefore, perfect practice is possible for a person who is Krishna conscious. And since the ultimate goal of yoga practice is to see the Lord within. So ultimate goal of yoga practice is to see the Lord within. Means to see Paramatma feature. A Krishna conscious person is already the best of all yogis. Prabhupada is giving his purport also right at that time. A Krishna conscious person is already the best of all yogis. The principles of the yoga system mentioned herein are different from those of the popular so-called yoga societies. They don't tell these yoga classes, yoga societies. They don't talk about all these aspects of yoga system. Mataji, you got unmuted.
Priya beta.
So only a Krishna conscious person can be fearless, and only he can properly see the Lord within, because he is seeing the Lord outside also, without also. And then also, like Krishna said, one should meditate upon me within the heart, not something else, not on light or some flower or anything else. Fire also, no. And further Krishna says, Yunjanevam sadatamanam yogi niyatamanasa shanti nirvana paramam mat sanstham adhigacchati. Thus practicing constant control of the body, mind and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God or the abode of Krishna by cessation of material existence. So attains to the kingdom of God by cessation of material existence. And Prabhupada said that kingdom of God is the abode of Krishna. But the yogis, they want to go to Brahmajyoti, and that's where the problem is. The ultimate goal in practicing yoga is now clearly explained. Yoga practice is not meant for attaining any kind of material facility. So any kind of material facility is because by doing this yoga, it is so powerful, even if one doesn't do it properly. One can get 1, 2, or all 8 of Ashtasiddhis to whatever degree. But the purpose is not to attain any kind of material facility. The purpose is to attain kingdom of God. It is to enable the cessation of all material existence, not to improve the material existence. One who seeks an improvement in health or aspires after material perfection is no yogi according to Bhagavad Gita. Nor does cessation of material existence entails one's entering into the void, which is only a myth. There is no such thing as void, actually. So all this Buddhist philosophies, what they follow is wrong. There is no void anywhere within the creation of the Lord. Rather, the cessation of material existence enables one to enter into the spiritual sky, the abode of the Lord. The abode of the Lord is also clearly described in the Bhagavad Gita as that place where there is no sun, there is no need of sun, moon, or electricity. All the planets in the spiritual kingdom are self-illuminated like the sun in the material sky. The kingdom of God is everywhere, but the spiritual sky and planets thereof are called Paramdham, or spiritual abodes. So when it is said that all the planets in the spiritual kingdom are self-illuminated like the sun in the material sky, but that doesn't mean there is no night over there. Because Krishna performs so many pastimes at night also. So self-illuminated means they don't need extra sun. Just like on earth, we do need sun. But whenever Krishna wants, or whatever is, whatever helps him in his pastimes, that's what happens. So night also happens, and day also happens. It depends upon Krishna's pastime, whatever he wants to enjoy. So everything, everybody is there to serve him in his pastimes. A consummate yogi means a perfect yogi who is perfect in understanding Lord Krishna, as is clearly stated herein by the Lord himself. Matchitta, Matvara, Matasthanam can attain real peace and can ultimately reach his supreme abode, Krishna Loka, known as Goloka Vrindavan. In Brahm Samhita, it is clearly stated, Golokeva Nivasati Akhilatma Bhuta. The Lord, although residing always in his abode called Goloka, is all-pervading Brahman and the localized Paramatma, as well by dint of his superior spiritual energies. So he is there, Golokeva Nivasati, but Akhilatma Bhuta, his Akhil means all over the world also. No one can reach the spiritual sky Vaikuntha or enter into the Lord's eternal abode, Golok Vrindavan, without the proper understanding of Krishna and his plenary expansion, Vishnu. So no one can enter. So without the proper understanding, so one who has proper understanding, what is he going to do? He's going to only serve the Lord. Just like in fourth chapter, the verse was that one who knows me in truth, there is no birth or death for him. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvata. One who knows in truth. By janma and karma, it's divyam. Tyaktva deham punarjanma neti mameti, so Arjuna. So once he leaves his body, he doesn't come back. The one who knows Krishna in truth, what is he going to do? Even in the material world, he's only going to serve him in devotional service. What else he is going to do? So once who serves him, then he's going to get purified. And one cannot know him in truth unless one is purified. So some perfection, some purification, then one knows him in little truth, and then he serves him, gets more purified, then he knows him more truth, then he serves him again, more purification. This is how the process works. So therefore, person, one who knows him in truth, he only can enter spiritual world. Therefore, a person working in Krishna consciousness is a perfect yogi because his mind is always absorbed in Krishna's activities. In the Vedas also, Shvetashvatar Upanishad, we learn, Tam eva vidit veti mrityum eti. One can overcome the path of birth and death only by understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. In other words, perfection of the yoga system is the attainment of freedom from material existence and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feats to befool innocent people. So perfection of the yoga system is attainment of freedom from material existence. So yoga system, the perfection, we only do some yoga asanas and we do some meditation. And as Prabhupada, it's a mockery of the real meditation process, because real meditation to meditate on the Supreme and to follow all the procedure, all the steps that Krishna has given. And this is what Prabhupada says. So that is perfection, and not some magical jugglery of words or jnana yoga, thinking of Krishna this or that. Or gymnastic feats. Gymnastic feats means doing all these yogasanas. It's nothing but gymnastics, or just turning and twisting our body to get some health improvement. But this is not the purpose. Purpose is to attain Krishna. So wonderful purpose Prabhupada has given to explain everything, not just to follow blindly. Okay, I guess I can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, one clarification. A lot of points have come here, very emphasizes on yoga and coming to Goloka never comes back. So when we take an example of Pandavas, where everybody was devoted, Draupadi Maharani, Arjun, Kunti, and we all are taking birth from millions and trillions of years every time, coming and coming and coming. So coming of Pandavas along with Krishna was a Leela, kind of a Leela they performed, that this set of people will come and perform this Leela.
Yeah. To Krishna's purpose of coming is what? It is Paritrana Sadhuna Vinashasya Dushkrita. So to destroy the miscreants and to protect the devotees. So for that, some devotees had to come with Krishna to perform all this. And in the process also, this is Krishna's pastimes, and for us to understand, better become devotees, not to become demons. Although Duryodhana is also a devotee, yeah. He is also in the spiritual world. He is very favorable of Balramji. Balramji's favorite. So here also he is favorite of Balramji. But here he performs a pastime of a wrong person.
Okay.
So it should be understood that we do not do wrong things. That's the whole purpose. In fact, it is also said, Duryodhana and all the Kaurava brothers, they went back to the spiritual world before Pandavas did.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Pandavas still stayed back, right? They were ruling over Duryodhana and all the party. They got killed in Mahabharata. They went back to the spiritual
world. Okay.
So yes, but they all come with a special purpose.
So probably, does it also mean the set of people coming in each year, in each era, is also a kind of a Leela? The question is coming in a Virat Rupa when Krishna said, you can see everything, what has happened in the past, what is happening present, and what will happen in future. You can see in this form. So whatever will happen in future, it was already there. So the people like us, with a set of people where we are here, right? is it also kind of a determined that these set of people will take a birth in these era and will perform these kind of activity and task?
See, there are two things: destiny and karma. So, according to our past activities, some destiny is set.
Mm.
But now, in this life, now we have an option. Because if there is no option, then there is no meaning of karma or independence, free will. That's also there.
Mhm.
So, yes, when Krishna says he knows past, present, and future, yes, he knows. But our independent, if there is no independence, why would Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita, Man mana bhav mad bhakto madhyadi mam namaskuru? That you do this, mean there is some independence.
Mm.
Some option is there. If everything was fixed, what is the need for scriptures? Everything is fixed. I have no option, no alternative to do this or that. So everything is fixed to a certain extent and not fixed also.
And from millions and trillions of years, we are kind of not determine what we want, right? And keep on coming here and here and again.
Yeah. But now we have come into bhakti process or yoga process, any kind of yoga. Bhakti yoga is the topmost. So Krishna also doesn't give bhakti. That's also true in Nectar of Devotion. We'll read that.
Mhm.
It's only given by his devotees. Devotees can interfere. And then Krishna loves his devotees, so allows it. So destiny is also there, and option or independence is also
And Prabhuji, if we take a question of Prajapati,
there.
where the objective is to increase the progeny, there was not only one person. It started with Brahmaji had a motive to start a progeny, and Prajapati came and had a progeny. So that was a start. So if the objective is to bring population on this earthly planet or other planet as well, after that this start that okay, you have done A, then you keep on coming, and somebody has done B, then you come to Golak Vrindavan.
So it aim is not to have progeny of this material world, but those who are here, they should go back. Otherwise, if progeny has to keep on happening, why would Krishna come and tell, come back to my world, come back to the spiritual? Why would he give us scriptures? Why would he send devotees? So if progeny has to happen, let those who want it to happen, let them do it. We just go back.
But that was an objective also. No? When Brahmaji's main object, when Brahmaji took a birth, he was given an objective that progeny should be there on this planet.
Yeah, so that all these conditioned living entities are given a chance to rectify them. But at the same time, Brahmaji gave Brahm Samhita, which is pure devotional service literature. So those who are rectified, those who learn, they have to rectify, they get rectified, they should go back. But those who haven't, they continue. So yes, progeny is one aspect, but rectification is also the aspect, the major aspect.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
प्रभु जी एक क्वेश्चन एक और आया है मेरे दिमाग में। प्रभु जी जब
Yes.
फर्स्ट सेट ऑफ प्रोजेनीज जो आई होंगी इस अर्थ के ऊपर या इस प्लैनेट के ऊपर, उनका कौन सा पास्ट कर्म होगा? हम लोग तो चलो आ रहे हैं, जा रहे हैं, आ रहे हैं, जा रहे हैं, बट जो फर्स्ट सेट ऑफ प्रोजेनी, सपोज 10 पीपल हैव जस्ट आए हुए हैं, उनका पास्ट कर्मा कौन सा है जो कि वो इस यहाँ पे इस प्लैनेट पे आ गए एंड देन देयर जर्नी स्टार्ट्स? वो कैसे मालूम पड़ेगा?
It's an eternal process. There is no first. Material world is eternal. It manifests and unmanifests. And similarly, the souls here are also eternal. Number of souls is also unlimited. Unlimited. Okay, but your point is, when we first fall down,
Yeah.
not first set, when we first fall down, we didn't have any karma. So how was it decided? So it is also mentioned that whenever the jiva falls down from the spiritual world, first birth he takes is as Brahma. And then from Brahmaji's position, so those Brahmajis who are pure devotees, they go back. Those who are not, they then, according to their desire, whatever desire they have developed, they fall down further. And then the whole life cycle of desires and karmas start, and we get more and more entangled. That's all it is.
तो ये युग युग जो जितने भी है, जैसे सतयुग निकला, द्वापर निकला, जो भी युग निकले, वो भी कनेक्टेड है आज के कलयुग से, लाइक कनेक्टेड इन द सेंस दैट मैं हो सकता है सतयुग में भी होंगी और हो सकता है पीछे भी होंगी, इट्स पॉसिबल कि नहीं मैं मतलब मैं कलयुग में हूँ तो कलयुग में ही हूँ, मेरा पिछला जो है वो सतयुग में भी हो सकता है, द्वापर में भी हो सकता है, त्रेता में भी हो सकता है, लाइक माय पास्ट लाइफ, युग्स आर आल्सो कनेक्टेड with the souls.
See, yug cycle to chalti rahegi. Yugs are only for earth. Heaven mein nahi hai, hell mein nahi hai. So we were there in Satyuga. Whether we were on this planet or some other planet, I don't know. We were there in Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, and now Kali Yuga. And as the Kali Yuga ends, we will be in Satyuga. Now, which form, yoni, which planet, which house, we don't know.
Okay.
So we were there. We've been coming. And not just one cycle, trillions and trillions of life cycles.
थकते भी नहीं हम लोग बारी बारी आके
ना ढीठ है ढीठ
तंग भी नहीं आते चल दिया अब दबाओ छोड़ो बस सब बहुत हो गया
or funny thing is everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. Government is temporary, countries are temporary, they're going up and down, everything is temporary, and we just for a little time we are there, we think this is eternal and this is the most important thing in my to protect this and protect that. Arey Baba. Yes, as a duty, yes, we have to do the right thing, but understand this is not permanent, it's all temporary.
It's a role of Maya which is making all confusion to the people. The Maya is so strong. And behind that there are senses. Very difficult to control the senses. भूख लगी है, आप मर जाओगे, आपको खाना खाना पड़ेगा.
नहीं वो तो खाओ खाने को कौन मना करता है but first of all that's Krishna said na patram pushpam phalam toyam yavan but at the same time why kill animals and eat them भूख लगी है तो खाओ फल खा लो फ्रूट सब्जियां खा लो मांस क्यों खाना है
Prabhuji, Bhagavatam also says after 10,000 years there will not be any grain.
Not after that. It's towards the end of Kali Yuga.
toward the end of the Kali Yuga, there won't be any grain. तो जब grain ही नहीं होगा तो लोग क्या करेंगे फिर? खाएंगे. आज तो चलो, today to we can understand. We don't.
First of all, if there will be devotees also that time, right? It is mentioned they will be in the forest, and after Kalki Avatar comes, they will come down, and then the Satyuga will start. So
Correct.
those devotees in the forest, they must be eating also something. Janardhan is Krishna. He will provide. He will provide.
That is for sure.
So why?
For sure.
Why not have faith? Just like I was reading the other day, a black ant walking on a black road,
Rock. Yeah.
a rock, in a
Yeah.
black night,
Night. Yes.
even he is provided by the Lord.
Yeah.
Why Krishna will not provide for us?
Correct. Correct. Yeah. A black ant walking in a black rock in the black night, and the black person protecting him.
Yeah, black person protects him. Why he
Yeah.
will not provide for us?
Yeah.
But the
Which
faith
person,
has to be.
Prabhuji? Black person.
Black person means Krishna.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
So he will provide, and he does provide. It's just faith. Faith is not.
It's too complex, Prabhuji. Really very, very. He showed the entire Brahman to Yashoda Maya in the mouth. And within a second, the illusionary Maya removed it, everything. You know,
Maya acts on those who want to act under Maya. So, yes, it is complicated. It's not that easy.
yeah, it's,
Not that easy.
but if we do effort, something will come out of this churning of the milk. What, you know?
Yeah. See, many times we say, no, bhakti is very difficult, chanting is very difficult, it's not that easy, I cannot do it. Well, then the question is living in the material world easy?
Very true.
No,
Is
bada
it
Yeah.
easy? It's more difficult actually.
Yeah, it's more very difficult. Very difficult.
So might as well do some bhakti and get out of it.
Prabhuji.
ठीक है, चलो, let's stop here.
Thank you,
All have
Prabhuji.
a safe and wonderful day. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna. Jai
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, Hare
Jai
Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.